Hey everybody, 307 here. Um, I've had a really good day. I'm going to kind of do a little, I guess is the guy would call it a vloggity doggity, old Buck and Billy Ray. Um, it's been an awesome day, and I'll get into that here in a second. Let me get some of this stuff cleaned up. As you can see, I've got my Ford torn apart, old instrument cluster out of it. I'm having issues with that still. But I don't know if you'd call it fate or karma. Luck, maybe. Sometimes things just happen that are just crazy. I got a little project here I'm gonna get into after I kind of tell this story, but I'm just in a super good mood from what happened this evening, and all day really. But kind of to start it off, and this kind of get all over for a minute, but tie it all together in the end. So I had gotten a call. That's not a very good shot. Let's see if I can move that up a little bit. Yeah, something like that. Sorry about the mess up here. But anyway, I got a call to go help somebody out. They're in a situation and basically they need a house built. If anybody's watched some of my earlier videos where we were up cutting trees down where there was a forest fire, it's somebody that lives up there that lost everything, and they're currently living in a camper. It's an older lady, and she just needs help. So anyway, I got a call to go up and maybe help build a house. It's small. It's only going to be a few days worth of framing, get it knocked out, and then start working on, getting some people in to do plumbing, electrical, and interior finish work and stuff. But at least get a structure up for the winter, because I would have a hard time with myself if somebody came to me and said, somebody needs help, and I knew about it and I didn't do anything, and this winter when it's 30, 35, 40 below, there's no way I would be able to be sitting here at my house with the stove going and hanging out on the couch with a cocktail and knowing that somebody is in a 40-year-old camper spending the nights out in their car with it running to stay warm. I couldn't do it. So anyway, rambling. Went up there. Basically today, this lady built her house years ago by hand with hand tools. She read a bunch of old books and got tools gathered up. She's super smart and determined, and she's a cool lady. But it burned to the ground, but she built it on pillars, and so there's several concrete pillars left, but there's some of them that got destroyed with the fire, got too hot. But the ones that are left they're not to grade, they're not level, and none of it's squared up. It's just it's off kilter. And so went up today, pulled some string lines, got some measurements so we can figure out where we need to put some new pillars in. Kind of got a plan for what we're going to build, and got done with that. And so headed over to another friend's house that lives up there. The lady that called me to tell me about this gal that needed help. Went over to her house, and her husband have a place up there, and so I sat down and had a couple drinks with them, and well, not a couple, I guess, partial. Anyway, I was there for a good hour and a half, and I kind of needed to get home and do some stuff, and definitely not planning on doing this tonight. But I left and I was on my way out, and there's another guy that's kind of involved in this building project, and so he called me on my way out, and so I pulled over and talked to him for a little bit. And this is kind of all leading up to timing. Like, if everything wouldn't have happened just the way it did, then something else that happens, you would have missed the opportunity. Timing is everything, kind of thing. And so I'm on my way home, and there's a place that I've been wanting to stop by for several years. I did some work for this guy years ago, and I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute. But I've been thinking about him a lot the last year and a half, because I've been learning more about axes. And I've loved axes for a long time. I've always had axes. I've always put handles in axes, broke handles. But I've started watching, again, Buck and Billy Ray, not to shout him out or that he cares that I'm talking about him, but he has taught me a ton about axes, brands, shapes, different things about really cool axes. And so I'm on my way home, and there's a few cars in front of me on a main highway that's, 70 mile an hour, and they're slowing down, and this little car whips off into this driveway, and it's this guy's house. And I thought, no way that can happen, that's him. Because I've been thinking about him. I've been wanting to stop by his house, but I haven't been in touch with this guy for probably 15, 20 years. A friend of mine introduced me to him years ago. We did some concrete work for him. And so this is where this gets really cool. He's been collecting things for years, and yard sales and auctions and estate sales and stuff like that. So when I was there years ago, he kind of walked us through some of his property and some of his buildings, and he has a collection of axes. And by collection, I mean a museum of probably easily hundreds, possibly over 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, I don't know. More axes than, I don't know, I've never seen this many axes in one place. And so since I started learning about axes, I've wanted to go back and actually see what he has that are some of the things that I know about. And it just happened today. I've been wanting to get a hold of my friend that knows him well and try to get a date set up to where I can go to this guy's house and visit with him and go look at some of the stuff he has. And I'm headed home tonight, and he whips into his driveway right in front of me. And there's so many things that could have happened that would have changed the timing of the two of us being at that point at that time. The phone call that I got from the guy that's helping up there had been a minute longer or 2 minutes shorter. Me getting up to the job earlier and getting it done quicker, 10 minutes or things like that. And so I whipped in behind him and went up and introduced myself, and he remembered me, and so we got to talking, and I told him I wanted to go at some day, go to his house and revisit this museum. And he's like, yeah, get a hold of me, and this day will work for me sometimes, and kind of thing. And so we're sitting there talking, and he's showing me some of the stuff he got today, because he went yard sailing and rummage sailing and stuff today. And we're talking, and he's like, hey, do you want to come up right now? I'm like, if you're not busy, that would be awesome. And so we go up to his house, go out into these buildings, and he's just like, there's just stuff laying around, axes and everything, and he's like, oh yeah, this is a cool. And he picks it up and he goes, look at that, you know, and it's kind of dark and I don't have my glasses and I'm looking and take it and I get my phone out and it's a Winchester. It's like a little boy's Winchester, like a 2 pound axe, and the handle's all busted and old and cracked and stuff. But it was just a cool axe. And I turn around and there's a pile of axes on the floor, all leaned up against the thing, and there's this giant double bit axe. I'm like, oh, that's a cool axe, and I pick it up, and it's a Sager. I mean, this thing is mint Sager, like a 10-inch double bit. It's huge. This thing's huge. And he's got. I asked him about his ravens. He's like, oh yeah, I got 3 or 4 ravens. I don't know where they're at. He goes, they're out here somewhere. So he's got 3 or 4 original black ravens. Kelly works the newer stuff. I mean, not newer, but newer than the ravens with the emblem on them. He had one sitting on a workbench right there, and just cool. And I spent probably an hour talking to this guy, and we went in his house, and he's showing me other stuff that he gets because he buys everything that's worth something. And so I told him I wanted to come back and actually go through what he's got and maybe take some pictures and maybe a little video, possibly buy some if he wants. I would love to get a Sager and a black raven from him. I don't know if my pocketbook's deep enough, but so we go in his house and we're walking around and we come back out and we're talking and I'm trying to get out of there and let him spend his evening and so kind of off subject for a second. This spring or last fall, I went to an auction and I picked up this little thing. And so the light's kind of bad. It's a little broad axe and you can tell because one side's got a bevel to it and the other side really doesn't. Like if you look at the head or the handle, it's crooked so this side's completely flat and this side's got a bevel to it. And so that was used for hewing off a flat side on a branch or log or whatever. And this one's small. I mean, it's a tiny one. I haven't been able to find a brand name on it. Haven't sanded it down. And it's got a little mushroom out here. But it's a cool little axe. I mean, it's just a cool little axe. It's rounded off. Most broad axes are kind of straight. And so anyway, he's telling me that he found this keen cutter at a yard sale the other day and something, and I'm like, oh wow, and he's talking about, I mean, he gets like, he found 4 or 5 things at this yard sale and he paid $20 for everything he got. And it's all worth many times more than that as a single piece. And he bought like 4 or 5 things. And he's like, oh yeah. You got, come back out here. And he walks in and he grabs this thing off the bench. And he goes, here you go, put a handle in that. And he handed it to me and I'm like, what do you mean? And I said, he goes, oh, just take it and put a handle in it. So I don't know if you can see this, guys, but this is freaking nuts. That's my hat. So I don't know. Can you? Let me see if I can get some light on this. Step behind the camera so I can see what I'm doing here. Can you see that? See what that says? And he literally handed this to me and told me to put a handle in it and gave it to me. I said, what do I owe you? He goes, oh, nothing. He goes, next time you come back, if you want to buy some axes, we'll make up for it then. Folks, that is a keen cutter broad axe. Or maybe that's better. Isn't that cool? Now I know why Buckin is so excited all the time. I mean, this is just, and I'm always in a good mood most of the time. I don't get upset about a lot of stuff. But guys, like, this guy just gave me this axe. And it's a keen cutter, and it's a broad axe. I gotta sand it up a little bit. Here we go. Let's see. This freaking thing is awesome. Let's see. WD-40 here. Yeah, it's gonna need some more work, but I don't know, guys. So I'm gonna put this video up. I'm not editing anything. I'm just gonna throw it up there. I don't know. That's paint. I thought maybe that would have been something on there. But... So I'll sand it down and get it more cleaned up. But this thing is just... Lighting's not right. The way I got the camera set up.